Kalyan Yojana, and also Arun Sharma will be joining us live with inputs on how this program will help migrant laborers. And apart from that, the government clarifying the Prime Minister's statement yesterday, which were being quoted out of context in the media. We'll talk to Amritpal Singh about the latest on the line of actual control. Let's begin with Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched a massive rural public works scheme. It's called Garib Kalyan Rojgar Abhiyaan, and it will empower and provide livelihood opportunities to the returnee migrant workers and rural citizens. The Abhiyaan was launched from the village Telihar, block Beldor of Khagharia district of Bihar. The villages across 116 districts in 6 states join this program through the common service centers and Krishi Vigyan Kendras. This campaign is for 125 days. It will be work in mission mode, and it will also involve intensified and focused implementation of 25 different types of works to provide employment to migrant workers. The focus will be on creating infrastructure in the rural regions of the country with a resource envelope of 50,000 crore rupees. A total of 116 districts with more than 25,000 returnee migrant workers across 6 states, which are Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Jharkhand and Odisha, have been chosen for the campaign.
क्या जी, लॉकडाउन के दौरान कुल कितने लोग आपके पंचायत में और राज्यों से वापस आए? कितने लोग होंगे?
लगभग 475 आज
475 की व्यवस्था की है, 500 लोगों की व्यवस्था की इतने दिन तक। देखिए, ये गांव के हिसाब से आपने बहुत बड़ा काम किया है जी। शहरों में दिखता तो हजारों लोग हैं, लेकिन इस काम में व्यवस्था का दम उखड़ जाता है। आप गांव वालों ने इतना बड़ा काम किया, ये संख्या अपने आप में बहुत बड़ी है। लॉकडाउन के समय आप कहाँ थी? यहीं थी या कहीं बाहर थी?
नहीं, दिल्ली में थे।
दिल्ली में थी, तो वापस कैसे पहुंचे आप?
स्पेशल ट्रेन से आए हैं।
अच्छा, वो श्रमिक ट्रेन मिल गई आपको?
हाँ।
अच्छा, तो रास्ते में कोई दिक्कत हुई क्या?
नहीं, कोई दिक्कत
नहीं हुई।
नहीं।
आपकी कोई शिकायत नहीं है मेरे लिए? हैं? कुछ तो होगी, आप बताती नहीं हो कि मोदी जी ने ऐसा क्या कर दिया, देखो हमको दिल्ली से घर आना पड़ा है। ऐसा नहीं लग रहा है ना? आप अभी अपने गांव में हैं, आपका परिवार अभी गांव में है, सबसे मिलना हो गया, तो अभी इन दिनों आप क्या कर रहे हैं?
अभी सोच रहे मधुमक्खी पालन करने के लिए विचार सब आदमी बता रहे हैं।
हरियाणा में कहाँ थे?
ये गुड़गांव हरियाणा में थे।
तो अब वापिस कैसे पहुंच गए वहां?
ये आपस आए, महामारी हो गया कोरोना का, उसके वजह से पैसे खत्म हो गया, रोजगार बंद हो गया। इस वजह से हम वहाँ से ट्रेन चलाए, आप उस ट्रेन से आए और ट्रेन में बहुत अच्छा सुविधा था।
तो अभी गांव में कैसा लग रहा है आपको? घर वापस लौटने के बाद क्या सोच रहे हैं आप?
जी, यहीं पर घर में तो बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है। यहीं पे काम मिल रहा है, नली गली का काम है, रोड पे भर ब्लॉक लगाने का।
अच्छा,
मिस्त्री राजमिस्त्री काम करते हैं यहाँ, मुखिया जी बहुत काम करवा रहे हैं, उसमें काम कर रहे हैं हम। करीब 30-35 लेबर मजदूर लगे हुए हैं।
और आप तो राजमिस्त्री हैं, तो आपके लिए तो ढेर सारा काम है।
Well, the Prime Minister also said that those whose labor and skills were behind the rapid growth of cities will now boost development of villages with the help of this scheme.
हमारा प्रयास है कि इस अभियान के जरिए श्रमिकों और कामगारों को घर के पास ही काम दिया जाए। अभी तक आप अपने हुनर और मेहनत से शहरों को आगे बढ़ा रहे थे, शहरों को चमका रहे थे, शहरों का भला कर रहे थे। अब अपने गांव को, अपने इलाके को आगे बढ़ाएंगे।
The Prime Minister also said that farmers can sell their products outside their states and connect directly with buyers about their produce, and that the move will help improve the income of the farmers.
अब किसान अपने राज्य के बाहर भी अपनी फसल बेच सकता है और किसी भी बाजार में बेच सकता है। अब आप अपनी उपज का अच्छा दाम देने वाले व्यापारियों से, कंपनियों से सीधे जुड़ सकते हैं, उन्हें सीधे अपनी फसल बेच सकते हैं। आत्मनिर्भर भारत अभियान के तहत एक और फैसले के बारे में भी सुना होगा। आपके गांवों के पास, कस्बों और छोटे शहरों में स्थानीय उपज से अलग अलग उत्पाद बने, पैकिंग वाली चीजें बने, इसके लिए उद्योग समूह बनवाए जाएंगे। इसका बहुत बड़ा लाभ किसानों को होने जा रहा है।
And the Prime Minister requested the rural workers to take all necessary precautions while heading out for work.
आप काम पर निकले, लेकिन मेरा ये भी अनुरोध है कि जरूरी सावधानी भी रखें। मास्क लगाने का, गमछा या चेहरे को कपड़े से ढकने का, स्वच्छता का और 2 गज की दूरी के नियम का पालन कभी भी भूलना नहीं है। आप सावधानी बरतेंगे तो आपका गांव, आपका घर इस संक्रमण से बचा रहेगा। ये हमारे जीवन और हमारी आजीविका दोनों के लिए बहुत जरूरी है।
And our correspondent Arun Sharma now joins us with an update on this story and inputs. Well, Arun, how different is this program going to be from the Manrega?
That's right, Mark. Now, let's try to understand this fact that the human resource or the manpower is the biggest strength the country like India is having as of now. Now, how it is different from Manrega, because now this scheme, which is the Garib Kalyan Rojgar Yojana, primarily will focus on the 25 schemes or the works of the government whereby the development or infrastructure creation can be done. And these people, that means close to 67 lakh migrants are likely to benefit under this scheme. All those who have returned back from the big cities to their villages, so they can, of course, get jobs in the various categories. Important part is that rural consumption will get a major push. And as far as Manrega is concerned, the allocation of Manrega is separate of 1 lakh crore rupees, because government has increased the allocation this fiscal. So that means the Manrega allocation is close to 1 lakh crore rupees. So on top of that, this 50,000 crore rupees will be for this scheme. That means we can expect that close to 1.5 lakh crore rupees will go into the rural economy. This major push by the government, on one side via Manrega by increasing the allocation of Manrega, on the other side by schemes like this Garib Kalyan Rojgar scheme, 50,000 crore allocation has been done. That means this massive investment will be going into the rural economy. Rural consumption will increase, number one. Number two, the rural infrastructure will get a major push. And last but not the least, what we say is that the rural infrastructure will, of course, get a major push. And all those migrant workers or laborers will be identified. The skill mapping has been done. So this gives a major data to the government as well, that which labor or which worker is in a position to do which work. And in future also, this mapping can be, used for the future course of work.
Yes, indeed, Arun, and it's a very big mission, because it, it comes under several ministries. That's a combination of 12 ministries, departments: rural development, Panchayati Raj, road transport, highways, mines, drinking water and sanitation, environment, railways, petroleum and natural gas, new and renewable energy, border roads, telecom and agriculture, all working together to achieve this purpose. And we can see also that you did mention about skill mapping, but the important thing is that the migrants are not being forgotten. Once they go back, they are now being provided with an opportunity to work. It helps in, as you said, rural consumption, but it also helps in the process of localization, which is important at this point in time, because that develops local strengths, which can then be add to the greater supply chain.
That's right now, Mark. Now let's try to understand the bigger picture of the reverse migration that has happened so far. We have seen two phases of reverse migration. One, from big cities, the laborers or the migrant workers have migrated towards their hometown or the villages as of now. Second important part, we have also seen the international reverse migration. That means all those workers, laborers who were working outside India in various countries under the Vande Bharat mission, they are also coming back to India in the big cities. So now government is trying to do what primarily government is trying to do. They're trying to skill map as of now that what is the best part or what is the skill set of various laborers who are returning back to India and those who are returning back to villages at the village level. So yes, the BDOs or the panchayat level have also played an important role as far as mapping is concerned. So they have mapped various skill set of the laborers and they're allotting work to the people, or they're also training the workers as of now that can be utilized in various government programs like if we talk about Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, these workers can play an important role in construction activities of Awas Yojana as far as construction of roads and highways are concerned. So this can be utilized in the village level. But yes, all those people who are returning back from the Gulf countries or under the Vande Bharat mission, government is as of now is again doing skill mapping on a bigger level. So yes, government is mapping at both the levels so that in the cities, because we'll see a major deficit as of now, because most of the laborers who have returned back to the villages, they don't want to return back to cities. As Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar today very much said that these workers, these laborers want to work in their own village. They don't want to return back to city. So what happens to the metro cities? So the people who are coming from the foreign countries, or the people who are coming back under the Vande Bharat mission, they have been mapped so that in the metro cities, in the big cities, this skill set can be utilized in the bigger cities, so that a deficit of manpower can be fulfilled, so that we have laborers both in the tier 1, tier 2 towns, and of course in the big cities, and also in the villages as well, so that manufacturing can get a major push, rural consumption can be increased, rural infrastructure can be increased. So that's a basic idea of the government at the moment.
And an important point also raised by the Prime Minister in the end, that he advised rural workers to take care of themselves when they go out to work, because the rural areas are relatively free from COVID, and so people can put in their best efforts without the fear of getting the virus. And that's important also, not that the virus does not spread to these areas, and the work capacities can increase a great deal. That's a trade-off in a sense that the whole economy is making, because these areas, which are relatively green zones in a sense, will be able to raise the output level and raise the economy.
Mark, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has again and again reiterated this fact, and on various platforms he has clearly said that we are opening up our economic activities. That does not mean that virus has gone away. Virus still exists and it is going to exist unless the vaccine is developed. So yes, we know this fact that the number of virus cases in the rural areas, in the villages, in tier 2 and tier 3 town is very much less if we compare it to various big cities like Mumbai, Delhi, etc. So now the focus of the government and of course Prime Minister Narendra Modi is clearly that we are opening up our economic activities, but that does not mean that we start compromising as far as social distancing is concerned. We should not compromise as far as sanitization or hygiene is concerned when it comes to fighting against the COVID-19. So yes, the villagers, or primarily the workers, the laborers, the migrant workers who have returned back to their villages, they'll of course be getting the jobs very soon now, because the BDO level officers, the Gram Panchayat have prepared the list. So they'll be getting the jobs. They'll be on the work under various 25 schemes. But yes, they should ensure that social distancing is in place. And that's what the Gram Panchayats will also ensure. He also appealed this to the workers will be going to work so that they can maintain social distancing, so that yes, with economic activity picking up, we can also defeat COVID crisis or the COVID-19 as of now. So that's two things that Prime Minister Narendra Modi appealed going forward.
Yes, thanks very much, Arun Sharma, for those inputs. Now, moving on to our next story then, the Prime Minister's office has issued a clarification to what it termed as mischievous interpretation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's remarks at the all-party meeting that no one has entered Indian territory or captured any military post, while referring to the Galwan Valley clash in eastern Ladakh. In a statement, the Prime Minister's office said that the focus of the Prime Minister's remarks at the meeting on Friday was that the events of June 15 at Galwan that led to the loss of the lives of 20 Indian paramilitary personnel. The clarification read, and I quote, Prime Minister was clear that India would respond firmly to any attempts to transgress the line of actual control, the LAC. In fact, he specifically emphasized that in contrast to the past neglect of such challenges, the Indian forces now decisively counter any violations of the LAC. The Prime Minister's observations that there was no Chinese presence on our side of the line of actual control pertained to the situation as a consequence of the bravery of our Indian armed forces. The read further said that the words of the Prime Minister, those who tried to transgress our land were taught a befitting lesson by our brave sons of the soil. And that succinctly sums up the ethos and values of our armed forces. The PMO said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi assured that Indian forces, the armed forces, will leave no stone unturned to protect the country's borders. And Amritpal Singh now joins us with inputs from Ladakh. Well, Amrit, so the Prime Minister making it very clear there that the situation is as it is, in that sense that the bravery of our armed forces has not gone in vain. The Chinese have, in a sense, not entered anywhere into our territory because they've been pushed back, because this is the kind of armed forces that have the ability to push people back. So when we look at, the situation currently on the line of actual control and the build-up of our troops and our forces there, can you give us the latest situation?
Mark, first of all, I think my reading of the Prime Minister's statement is when he says that they were taught a lesson. The Prime Minister is clearly saying that the Chinese were trying to transgress, yes, but the Chinese were taught a lesson by the Indian forces, in which he's referring to the incident of June 15th in Galwan. So the Indian forces desisted that attempt. The Chinese, and that is when the violent face-off took place, in which 20 Indian soldiers were martyred. And according to reports, there are casualties on the other side as well. So the Prime Minister's statement does not talk about the casualties on the other side, but there were reports to that effect. But clearly the Prime Minister emphasizing that the Chinese did try to enter, but the Indian side foiled that attempt, and that's when the violent face-off took place. Now, what the actual position on the line of actual control as of today is that there is a huge build-up by the Chinese side. Even the Ministry of External Affairs, in its statement, which has come a little while back, just a few minutes back, has clarified that there is a huge build-up, and that is why at various points in different sectors in eastern Ladakh, and this is being resolved at the level of the military commanders, and also diplomatically. They referred to the conversation that External Affairs Minister had with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi, where he told him that this should not happen, and India will not take it lying down and will not allow its sovereignty and territorial integrity to be violated. So basically the Indian forces are holding their ground on the Indian side of the LAC, and the military commanders are talking to each other at various levels to see that this standoff, which has well gone into the 6th week now, the Chinese build-up is reduced, because that is the various agreements that exist on the between India and China dating from 1996 to 2013, where they do not escalate and do not allow the build-up to happen. So yes, this is what is being talked about right now, but the Indian forces are holding their defenses strong at the line of actual control on the Indian side. They have neither transgressed on the other side, nor will they allow the Chinese or the People's Liberation Army to transgress into the Indian side. The Prime Minister's statement does talk about an illegal occupation by the Chinese. He says it was cleared at the all-party meeting yesterday that 43,000 square kilometer is an illegal occupation of China. They said that has happened over the last 60 years, so primarily referring to a Skychin, which is in the illegal occupation of China. So yes, that is only the only part of India where Chinese are illegally occupying, but the LAC, which was defined defined, and that the sanctity of that is being maintained by the Indian forces. And after the violent incident of June 15th, the Indian forces, both the Air Force and the Indian Army, has stepped up its vigil and reinforced its defense positions. Mark?
Yes, indeed. So the 43,000 square kilometers of illegal occupation has happened over the last 60 years, and it was yielded under circumstances which the country is well aware of, is what the all-party meeting was briefed yesterday about. But you said that there was the Chinese are building up on the other side of the LAC. But the point is that the Indian troops are also building up. But we have to understand as well, Amritpal, about the terrain. First of all, it is at very high altitude, and it's inhospitable to a large extent. So this is a very, very let's say one of the most difficult battlefields in the world.
Oh, that's right, Mark. It is a very inhospitable terrain. To give you a sense, if you look at the mountains behind me, these are jagged mountains, rugged mountains. Most of them, it's summer here, but you can see snow-capped peaks. Now, these are like 15,000, 16,000 feet. Now, you can well imagine fighting at these heights, how difficult it would be, because the oxygen levels really, really dip. And the second big problem is maintaining supply lines to the troops posted at these heights. You require a certain acclimatization to deal with it, and to, the human body, they are so hospitable that the human body to adjust to those heights and the temperature, the wind speed. Right now it is close to, it's a little over 6:30. The wind, as you can see in my hair, is blowing so fast. Though I'm relatively at a lower height, I'm at about 13,000 feet. But at 15,000 feet at this time, it's not possible to even stand and guard a post. So that's the kind of terrain that the armed forces are positioned at, and they are protecting the territorial integrity of the country. Now, clearly the terrain is inhospitable, but as the Prime Minister said yesterday, the armed forces have been given a free hand, and they've been told very, very clearly in no uncertain terms that not to brook any transgression by anyone, by any foreign forces, while maintaining the sovereignty and the integrity of the country. So the LAC is sacrosanct, and the Indian positions are very, very clear. India has a very clear idea of where the LAC lies. The Chinese might have different perceptions of it, but that does not matter. As far as we go, we go by the agreed LAC, and our forces go by the agreed LAC, and they are committed to protecting the sanctity of the LAC, and they shall not allow anyone to cross over. And this is what the Prime Minister very categorically said. He said the army has been given a free hand and do whatever it takes. So basically, which means that the local commanders have the right to respond, make tactical moves as and what they've deemed fit at the actual ground position. So this is what the Prime Minister meant, and our forces are very valiantly doing that.
Indeed, Amrit, but you did show us some of the sorties that are going on, and we can see that the Air Force is involved. But at the end of the day, to hold your ground, you require to have the army on the ground. You have to have the infantry, they have to have the boots, they have to be in those military posts, they have to occupy them. And that is when we say that we have this post under our command. When we say that, none of our posts have been occupied or taken, that is at the end of the day our position, that we have managed to keep the sanctity of the LAC. This is the important aspect. I mean, the infantry working day and night at those heights to maintain those positions and the morale of the troops at this point in time. Can you fill us in with, just give us an idea about it?
The morale of the troops, yes, Mark, that's a good question. The morale of the troops is pretty high of all the troops that I have interacted with. In fact, I was speaking to some of the soldiers of the Ladakh Scouts. They said that they are committed to protecting this area. They're protected in the past. They fought valiantly to protect Ladakh, and they will do so. In fact, the other regiments of the Indian Army are positioned, are well entrenched. And as the Prime Minister said yesterday, that the infrastructure along the border will continue to be built. We will, in fact, the Chinese had objected to India building bridges and roads, but India made it very clear to China that that is on the Indian side of the LAC, and India is well within its right to build that infrastructure, to secure its borders, and that's what they took exception to. Now, there is a clear message that has been sent to China that India will build all infrastructure required and for securing its border and assisting the military for ensuring supply chains. And the good thing is that when the Prime Minister reiterated yesterday at the all-party meeting that the army has been given a free hand, so the morale of the forces, that had a good effect on the morale of the forces. Okay. So the morale of the forces is pretty high. They say whatever difficulty in the circumstances, in the terrain, in the weather conditions, we are trained to do that, and we are committed to protecting the motherland.
So we leave it there. Thanks very much, Amritpal Singh, for those inputs directly from Ladakh and right over there, very close to the Galwan Valley. And with that, we conclude. Thanks very much for being with us. Namaskar.